As for the hotel was somewhat rustic, a creature of the 1950s through 70s mostly, but it was clean and it had what you needed. It had plenty of places to plug in. It had Wi-Fi. It had TV and shower and toilet and bed. The beds were clean. The cleaning ladies were good at keeping the place looking good. There's a pool out front and a little gazebo place you can sit down at. The check-in office has like a lounge in there, and with maps and coffee and fruit and donuts and bagels, and there's a TV you can watch whatever's. So that was very nice. I have to say I was satisfied, very satisfied. I think Moose was messing with us, you know, like, oh, this place, I'm gonna have to stay at the Best Western or something. I ain't coming back to this place. But he was just messing with us. But if you're used to Hilton style accommodations, that modernity, then you're probably not going to be a big fan of the Mountaineer. But I thought it was fine. Then again, I lived in Fiji for 2 years in the Peace Corps. At one point, my room was above a chicken coop. I could hear the chickens beneath me clucking. So my standards are a little bit different from most. Believe me, if it was dirty and nasty and horrible, I definitely would have sought other accommodations for the hootenanny. So that brings me to the topic about the summer. So we're going to be at this hoot, right? And I'm concerned, I really am concerned, that people are going to be hurt or killed on the ride this summer. Especially if people are not, if they don't have respect for the danger inherent to the roads we'll be on. It doesn't take very much at all to get yourself in major trouble. And I got in some major iffy situations by overspeeding into a corner. And it was one of those cases where it said speed limit 45, and then you get this curve and there's no signage at all to let you know that the curve is a switchback. And suddenly you're, you know, I was in the oncoming lane. Thankfully there was nobody coming, and I was able to get out of it again. But that kind of thing, you know, in the summertime when there's a lot of people out and it's warm, and so all the bikes are going to be out there and cars and all that, I don't think that's going to go very well. And we had a very experienced rider, Art, and we're at the very end of the whip, technically not even really the whip anymore. It was a really straight shot into this town called Marion, and there was one curve left, and it wasn't particularly steep, but it was probably a good 35-mile-an-hour curve. And when I got on that straightaway, I have to admit, I turned my wrist a little bit too hard, and the bike was going rather quickly. And I could hear Moose say, well, how goddamn fast are you going? And I'm sorry, I got a little bit overzealous, and I wanted to get us to the next set of curvy road, which I didn't realize was not going to be. And when I got to that corner, you know, I slowed down appropriately, and I got through it. I was fine, and so did Jay, and so did Mark. And Art had fallen a bit behind Mark because he didn't realize that we had suddenly gunned it. So then he guns it to catch up with us, and he sees that corner, and he realizes a little bit too late that he's going too fast for that corner. He hits the brake, and the brake locks up, and he doesn't have anti-lock brakes. So it started him in a skid, which turned into a slide, which turned into a believe it was a high side. He went flipping over to his left, you know, went this way and like that. Bike got all messed up. Thank God nobody was in the oncoming lane. Thank God he didn't go into the brush or into a tree. We get to the end by the town where the crossroad is at the town. We pull over and where's Art? I don't know. Jay positions himself in the left side of the left lane in the parking lot, looking down the road. It's a long straight road, and he's just looking. This looks out of a movie, like where's Art? And we all had this sinking feeling, oh shit. And it was long enough that he should have been able to catch up to us, so we're like, shit, we gotta go and look for him. So we're going down the road, and we're coming up to that where the road starts to that curve, and this white vehicle coming the other way is flashing its lights at us. So I hear Jay say, oh, it looks like Art's been in a little bit of an accident. Fuck. I pull over. There's not really a place to pull over. It was in the curve. And there's an old couple there. One guy's got an oxygen tube going up in his nose. And he says, why don't you pull off the road here into this gravel? And it was a steep, you know, incline into this gravel. I'm like, if I go one more inch over to the right, I'm going to tip the bike over. It'll be fine. So then I saw that Art was back on the bike. He was on the correct side of the road in the ditch, trying to get it out of the ditch. And I started directing traffic on the side coming that we had come from, and then Mark went to the other and he was directing that so that nobody came into that curve and hit us. Very smart thing. And then a cop came, gave him a ticket for crashing, but he was nice. He was a nice cop. He wasn't a dick to us. He was a state trooper. So that was pretty rough. So I could imagine a scenario where you're in the moment, you got the energy, the adrenaline rush of you're going through these twisties and you're having a good time. But then all of a sudden you overdo it. You take a chance you shouldn't have taken. Or you're trying to catch up to your buddies and you overdo it. It's entirely normal, entirely possible. And that's what got Art. And I feel bad because I shouldn't have gunned it the way I did. And everybody's saying, don't feel bad, you know, because accidents happen. But if I hadn't have gunned it, he wouldn't have tried to catch up the way he did. Since I was in the lead position, it's my responsibility to make sure that I don't do something like that. And so, I know everybody said ride your own ride. I know. But I still feel bad. Oh, well, what can you do, right? So I really hope that everybody takes this to heart and, you know, doesn't get scared, but at the same time doesn't get arrogant and go, that's not going to happen to me. I'll be all right. You should have a very open, clear understanding, a sanguine understanding. You know, no illusions that you could get seriously injured or killed on this trip. I mean, anytime you get on a bike, you could. But especially on a trip like this. Why? Oh, trucks. I saw speed limits at 35 and I thought, what? No, that's just for trucks. I worry about the riders who are less experienced, or if they are experienced but they're on a new bike and they don't really have the time in on the bike yet, kind of like me on this bike. You I've been on this bike now since September. I've got 3,000 something miles on it. And I'm still learning the bike's capabilities. The bike is better at riding than I am right now. I haven't maxed out my ability to do stuff on this bike, not even by a long shot. But you can't be timid. I mean, you should be cautious, but not timid. For example, let's say you're in a left-hand hairpin turn, you know, one of those switchbacks, and you're going up a hill. So it's up one hill, a quick turn, and the turn is on an angle, and you're going up the next hill. If you don't know how to throttle properly and use your friction zone and maintain your forward momentum, then it is a very, very likely scenario where you're going to go down. And then the bike could actually roll over you if it's steep enough. Or if you put both feet down and you duck walk through something like that, you're doomed. Got to keep your feet up, got to keep your head up, got to keep your eyes up. These kinds of things, if you don't have that skill set, and if you haven't really practiced, then you could get in some serious trouble. And I know you're probably thinking, all right, enough of this, Mike, enough. But you've been warned. That's all I can say. You've been warned. We've got 60 people possibly coming on this ride. Some of them very experienced, some of them not very experienced. And we've got some really twisty roads, and we've got some nice sweeper type roads like the Blue Ridge, very sweeper like. So with all those things mixing into it, it's a recipe for disaster. Several years ago, actually the year I did the Tail of the Dragon with Stefan, which by the way is nowhere near the Devil's Whip, okay? Just in case you don't know the geography, the Devil's Whip is north of Asheville, and the Tail of the Dragon is south of Asheville, like an hour south, down near Robbinsville, North Carolina. That's where Deals Gap is, kind of about a half an hour away from Robbinsville. So don't get the two confused, because they're definitely different. I thought that said Old Fart. That's funny. Old Fort. So anyway, when I was on the Tail of the Dragon in 2009, there was a meetup happening soon. It was, I gotta get past this truck. She's smoking like a bastard, and I don't want to be anywhere near that. Breathing that in, no thank you. Watch out, truckie. Ah, clean air again, good. Going to stay here. I'm going to get off here and get me some breakfast. So anyway, at the Tail of the Dragon in August of 2009, there was a big meetup. I was thinking about going, but I didn't end up going. And they had a great time. I think Smyrna Cowboy was there.
Now turn slide left.
And I think Suburban Rider was there too. It was great. They had a good time. And Ike was kind of leading it because he's from that area. And he got killed.
Prepare to turn slide left in half a mile. So,
I mean, he lives there, right? And he knows how to ride. And knows what he's doing. And he went down because, you know, another vehicle caused it, but if somebody like that can get killed, geez, imagine if you don't know what the hell you're doing. Food for thought, folks. All right, this is my Kaylee 7. Hoping you're well. Ride safe. And I will talk to you later.